Number 702. I am a planner. I hate uncertainty. I want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, a week from now, maybe even 10 years from now. I plan so much that I can tell you as soon as this event ends, I'm going straight back to my dorm to submit my math homework by 10:59, giving me just enough time to jump into bed by 11:05 and be asleep by midnight. Yeah, I plan. You see, I'm the kind of person who wants to know how a movie ends before I even start watching it. I love a good spoiler. And it's not because I'm afraid of what's coming. I just find comfort in knowing what's yet to happen. And I know this kind of thinking isn't always correct because what happens when you're not ready, when something you can never see happens, and that's why I'm here today. I was diagnosed with scoliosis when I was 12 years old, and in the February of 2018, my spine was fused with 2 rods and 21 screws. And while it felt like the whole world was crumbling from underneath me, it's the reason for so many wonderful things. It's the reason I go to school here instead of in Nairobi, Kenya, where we've been living for the past 5 years. And it's the reason I get to play sports. In her TED Talk, model, singer, and college senior Haley Sky Daru discusses her own journey with scoliosis and how scoliosis straightened me out for good. By Haley Sky Daru. I'm here to talk about a curveball that was thrown at me 4 years ago, and it starts with one of the most important bones in the body, the spine. But this is my spine, and as you can probably tell, it's not really correct. Scoliosis is the abnormal curvature of the spine, if you haven't guessed already. But first, let me take you back to the 8th grade with tall, awkward, and nerdy me. I was the definition of 2012 cool. I had those silly bands you would trade with your friends and those neon Converse. I mean, I was hot stuff. But under all this coolness, there was one item I was trying to hide. My back brace. This pink, bunny-printed waist contraption that, made my non-existent boobs very uncomfortable. I was diagnosed with scoliosis when I was 13, and I was forced to wear this thing for 18 hours a day for 2 years straight, and it wasn't something I wanted to do because it was just hella uncomfortable. But don't worry, my sweet 16 comes around and I can take it off, and I'm like, hell yes, I can live my best life, no more back brace, my curve is fixed. That's what I thought. A couple months pass. My mom pulled me out of high school one day for just a random checkup. I go in for some simple x-rays, expecting my spine to look better than when it did at 13, because that was the plan. Dr. DeWald comes in, he pulls in my pictures on the screen, and for a second, I was thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure that's the wrong patient's profile, so, that's me. Haley Sky Daru, Nevada spine with a 36-degree curve is now a 52. Cool. It's to the point now where my rib is very close to touching my lung. My brace had failed me. What's left now? An 8-hour thoracic spinal fusion surgery from the base of my neck to mid-back. And for those of you who were wondering, spinal fusion is the surgical procedure that connects the vertebrae and takes out flexibility. Basically, you take a bendy straw and you straighten it. So, I'm not going to brag, but I'm kind of a bionic woman. I have 2 rods and 19 screws. But that aside, I'm not telling you this for sympathy or pity. I'm telling you this because of the part that came after the getting back up part. The chapter in my life that I could not really predict, because the least expected challenges in life can teach you the most about yourself, about your capabilities. But you can't, I was well aware, do a lot of things that I plan to do after surgery. Would not be simple, but I already had this mindset that everything is going to be terrible. I played in the drumline in high school, and I thought to myself, how am I going to go back to marching band and carry my 20-pound bass drum on the field outside of school and work as a recording artist in the music industry? And the first thing I thought was, how am I going to perform on stage again when I can barely walk up the stairs? And I'm also a professional model, and I thought there's no way I can go back. I have this huge back scar on my spine. All in all, I thought to myself, how am I going to deal with all of these plans? Now, I'm sure each and every one of you has asked yourself that question before, because I can name even 1,000 examples where things don't go your way, like not getting the internship or when an Uber cancels on you last minute. I learned that as much as you plan for things to work out a certain way, you know you really can't control the future, and sitting around with self-pity isn't going to do anything either. When I stopped feeling bad for myself, I learned to embrace the unexpected for what it is, because you can't change that part, and then to learn from it and to keep moving, because if we don't do these things, we will always find ourselves in a position either stuck or sitting around wishing things were different. I'm grateful to have come out of surgery with no pain and 0 complications. My breathing is better, and fun fact, before surgery I was 5'10", and when I walked out I was 6 foot. Not that I needed to be any taller, but I'll take it. Quite literally, this surgery straightens you out physically, but it straightened out my mindset, and I ended up doing everything I'd planned I would not be able to do. But to get back to these things, like marching band, modeling, singing, boxing, yoga, the things that I loved, and that came easy to me, took many, many tries now. It wasn't until I changed my attitude. I had to push myself for months to relearn how to do a push-up, and then how to jog, and then how to run. I went back to marching band. I put on my drum harness, but I could barely withstand the weight. Or my first gig after surgery, I was opening up for a major rock band, and I can barely project my voice on stage. And I'm about to go back to modeling, but some jobs and some casting directors just weren't looking to cast a girl with a back scar. But the more I failed, the more motivation I had to get back up, and as a result, it produced a better version of myself. I wrote the original song called Wild Side. It was picked by the Day of Teen Vogue in 2015, a year later. I was featured in the actual August issue on stands. I got to talk about the beauties of scars and scoliosis. And these are all great things, and I'm very grateful. But I still don't know what will happen tomorrow, or next week, or in 10 years. What I do know is that we have the power to do something in spite of whatever does happen. So, why should you guys care what I'm saying? We live in a world where the unexpected is part of our everyday lives, whether personal or societal. So my advice to you is, when you're faced with a difficulty in life that you never planned for, just stop for a moment. Feel the air in your lungs and take a look around you. There's always something in every day to be grateful for, and sometimes that's just realizing the most basic fact, that you're still here and standing. Resilience starts with a mindset, because a matter of fact is that eventually everyone will be dealt a crappy handful of cards. I think it comes down to deciding whether or not you want to quit and sit on the sidelines or play the game with what you've been given. If I understood this at age 16, perhaps my recovery wouldn't have been so dreadful, and then taken me years later to realize how something unexpected could become a blessing. Make adjustments to your plans, because things change, people change, crap happens, and life gets in the damn way. I was positive that after 2 years of wearing a back brace, my scoliosis curve would be corrected as planned. Now I have a fused spine, and I'm cool with it, because my surgery built me. I've taught myself to tell myself time and time again, you fell. So what? How will you pick yourself up gracefully? And what will you do in spite of these? Are the questions that we should be asking ourselves, because we tend to believe certain things in life are impossible because they aren't easy. running a marathon, long-distance relationships, and the downward-facing dog with a bionic spine aren't easy. So the next time you're trying to be like me and plan out the next chapter in your book, maybe don't. Perhaps you should wait until life gives you a story to write down about, because what we do next after the curveball is something we are truly in control of. Thank you.